identifying a societal problem, which Mrs. D'Alessandro clearly identified, and she will discuss with you what she saw as the societal problem. And then we have to create a public policy to eliminate or alleviate that societal problem, which as well she did. Okay, here's the laptop, Mr. Sam.
Take care.
I want to thank Mrs. D'Alessandro for taking the time to come in.
You can call me Miss Rosemarie,
There you go.
if you like, okay?
And she is going to share her story with us. Now, we have discussed much of the backstory already, but she's going to share with us. And as we often say, right, the goal of this course, as Dr. Copeland at Syracuse will tell you, is for you to eventually go out into society and become, as he coined the term, do-gooders. We want you to do good in society. And that centers around what is a societal problem and how can we eliminate or alleviate that societal problem. So without any further delay, I'm going to introduce Rosemarie D'Alessandro, who is going to share with us her story.
Hi, everybody. Now, what I want to go into is April 19th, 1973. That's how everything started. Joan has been the inspiration of all this movement for me, okay? And what I'm noticing is that she is inspiring a lot of people and they are getting affected by the spirit. So I will talk now about what happened on that day, and that will be the extreme tragedy. And then what will happen is I will go into the parts of, you will see how from a tragedy, how good things came from it. And what I want to tell you is that when you're like everybody has problems, everybody has struggles, but just remember in every single thing that you have, if you look at it, you would find something positive, as hard as it is. Okay, if you're feeling like nobody cares for you, you know what? Okay, that's the feeling you're having. But you know what? Guess what? Try to think of something positive. Maybe something positive about yourself. Okay, and that'll make you have a different picture in your head. See, you don't have like all the experiences of life. I mean, you're just kind of starting out, in a more, adult world. And you will find that it's very, very important to never think that you're not worthy. Even if people are treating you that way, okay? So from all this experience that I've had, certain philosophies have come into my head, right? So on April 19th, Joan she went to my neighbor's house to deliver 2 boxes of cookies, and she never came back. She said, the last word she said to me, "Goodbye, Mommy, I'll be right back." A teacher from Tappan High School, a chemistry teacher, and he was teaching juniors at that time, just 27 years old, he took her life. And he raped her, he murdered her twice. He thought he had killed her, he saw her moving, and then he strangled her. He threw her body down like a rag doll and hit it against the floor. And I mean, it's like she was just broken all over. And this happened on Holy Thursday. She was found on Easter. because she was found on Easter, I saw that as a sign of hope in what I believe, okay? And that was a good thing that I saw that. That gave me strength. And I did find out what it was going to be, a sign of hope, 20 years later, okay? The first 20 years after Joan died was quiet. It was not, I was not in the public eye. I never thought I would be in the public eye. But it was in 1993 that everything changed. And then I knew that that was going to be the message. There was going to be a movement. Now, I had to bring Joan out to the front of the people again. At the beginning it was. Because remember, in 73, her case changed history. Because what happened is that everything became more vigilant. At that time, everything was more trusting. Everything was more free. And even Girl Scout rules changed. So her case became like, it's a case of history. Because her case started that, where parents became more vigilant. So then I wanted to talk to you about this little girl that I had to bring out. And Joan was the kind little girl that would stand up for others. She would stand up for the shy friend who was in the background, because Joan was pretty out there. She was social. She, people would gravitate towards her. And she'd see the shy girl, that was a beautiful girl. She said, come. And this girl told me, I found out about 10 years ago. I never knew that Joan had done that. Joan liked music. Her favorite song was Ode to Joy. She was a dancer. She was very, very, very athletic in dancing. She would do ballet. She liked music. She liked dogs. She liked the words, big whoop, and she liked the word, oh boy. So you get an idea of her personality. So I want to close this part now. And Joan, are you here? Joan? I think if you have any questions, then the next part we're going to go into starting in 93, okay? And just remember, just think of this now. The movement is going to start because I get a call that says the killer is coming out of prison 6 years sooner than I thought. I was shocked because I did not know that for every 10 years, 4 years is subtracted for good behavior and just good behavior and work credits. So here it is, I get this, I'm told that, I asked, do I have to fight for this? They said, yes, you do. Because remember, the killer got 14 years, which meant life, and it was 20 years. So he had paid his due according to what he had gotten. So it was going to be a fight to keep him in. And that's when the movement started.
Okay, so yeah, in 1993, my mother was saying that's when she got the call that changed everything. And from 1993 to, that was the first time she had to make a victim's input statement. And that's the first time she started a movement. And that was about green ribbon campaign. People who put green ribbons on their trees in support of the effort that Joan's killer would not be paroled. And there was a great deal of fear that came towards in our community of Hillsdale. And he was denied, but through appeals and even a appeals court hearing that required the parole board to do the whole hearing over again, because there was a case at the time when this cop killer was freed that changed the whole that changed the requirements for proving that a person would not kill again was the requirement. And it changed the whole, it made it much harder to keep him in. So from 93 to 2001, that was how long the parole process lasted for our family. And like I said, during this time, my mother was always bringing attention, petitions, letters to the parole board, and media attention. And media attention was also a big part there, getting the people to know about Joan again, know about this case that's been quiet for 20 years. And then, so we were successful in getting a hit then, but he became eligible again in 2008. This was, we had a little more experience this time. My mother was ready. She was able to get 80,000 signatures and 300 letters, and we went there. This was the first time that I testified, and you have to remember, every victim's input statement is very difficult, especially for my mother, and reliving the crime. And she also deals with the myasthenia gravis, which is like a muscle weakness. That's why we have the fan here. She has a mild case. And then, so that was successful. And what was the amazing thing about that time was that she got a 30-year parole hit. So we won't be eligible again until 2027. 2018. What year will be in? Then that was also part of the movement, and it snowballed. Each person would take on their own petition campaign to get the 80,000 signatures. But it was very unprecedented to get a 30-year hit. She went for 35 years, which was, reaching for the stars. But to get 30, because remember, when he was convicted, he had 14 years until he'd be eligible for parole. He was actually eligible in '87 first. And then it was only 6 years, right, until '93. And here was 2008, and it had gone way up. And usually it goes down and down until they get released. Like that's what happened with that cop killer, Trentino. So this was through the public awareness and movement that my mother did. So if anyone wants questions with this section.
Is it like getting complicated? You know, if you have any questions, you know, Joan will.
I have a few questions, and maybe this will help guide me. So, the Jones murder first came up for parole in 1987. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And then again, subsequently, 6 years later in '93. At this point, as you said to me, it was somewhat inconceivable that this man might be released back into society and pose a threat to other children. Is it at that point that you decided to start moving forward with what eventually becomes Jones Law?
Well, see, remember I told you that I knew there was something positive out of this tragedy. So in '93, I saw that with the fight and just bringing the movement of the people, that's what really gave me the drive. I have the drive to this day because of the message that I got, the message of hope. And the message of hope had to do then with the laws, okay? And of course, to keep them in prison first. That was very important. So my drive, to continue my drive then, was I saw that, you know, it was going to be a different era. It was going to be different. So then you had the fight, and then you had the laws. You know? And then with the laws, there's 4 laws, and there's the 5th one. And the 5th one we're going for now, for under 18. And Joan's law, that was 97, the first law, says no parole ever for people that sexually molest and murder children under 14. That was the first one. And that took 3 years. John, are you around? You want to talk a little bit about that? John?
Tell us a little bit about Joan's Law.
First one.
I'm talking about the law.
I want to just talk. I'll talk to you. See, John?
I have to do
You see, with the first Joan's Law, it took 3 years. And we started a grassroots movement. And remember, I didn't know anything about laws. I had no idea. So I just thought, well, let's write down what the law should be. So I wrote it down. Then what do we do with it? Well, let's ask the people to say, do you want this law? Okay, so let's petition it. Let's have a petition. So we had signatures. Then I know we had to work with lawmakers. So like here, like in every district, we have, what do we have? We have a senator and we have 2 assembly people. So I went to the senator that time, the senator person, and brought the signatures, and had a very good legislative aid to work with, because I found out that was very important, the communication from my mouth, from the people's mouth, to the legislators, but a lot of times they weren't listening because they were focused on something else. So I had to keep on calling, and I'd call and speak to the legislative aid. And it was good. The legislative aid was a very good connection, and that's the way that worked. And then from there we had to go into a judiciary committee from the Assembly and the Senate. And then from there you had to go to the Speaker of the House and the main Senate to vote on it. And then it went to the governor. So all this process took 3 years to do. So, I mean, and then for the other laws, that's what I did with the other laws. The second one was the federal law. That was in 98. And there's a congressman that worked there to help. But it was the same procedure. And then the third one had to do with eliminating the statute of limitation in New Jersey, the Justice of Victims Law. And with that one, what it did was, we only had a 2-year statute. So now there was, with the one we got now, there was no statute. So that means you could sue anytime for wrongful death. And then the fourth one, we got Joan's Law in New York, and that was mandatory sentencing for the first time. And that took 4 years to get. And then, let's see, the fifth one we're going for now, and we got signatures, and if you guys want to start a drive with signatures, you could, and just get to me, and I'll give you some help. And that's the positive, everybody, the laws from all this, and it's still going on. And you can make a difference by getting signatures and doing a drive, okay? All right? So go for it.
So, Rosemarie, can I ask you a few questions? I don't need that. Okay, so we're so thankful that you're here. And this really is the embodiment of what we've been doing in class all semester. So when you identified a societal problem, which was...
I didn't know you could do this with this. I'm not technical.
So identified a societal problem of, unfortunately, the potential of Joan's murderer being released from prison and posing more of a threat to society. And you began formulating, as you said, you didn't know anything about law, so you began formulating an idea on how do we get a law passed. It started with the grassroots level. Did you begin by contacting a legislator or assemblyman, or did you begin by petition?
Petition first.
The first thing you did was petition in an effort to find out the interest in such a law?
And just to get the people, but this is a movement, grassroots movement. It wasn't just about me, it was all of us making a difference. You know, every part is important.
Now, clearly...
And legislators are supposed to listen to the people, you see? Always remember that. Each one of you makes a difference.
And you also mentioned, as you went through the process, how important it was to make connections with, I think you said an assembly aid, you made connections with
Legislative aid, very important with communication, and I have respect for them when I speak, and they have respect for me.
So as we go through the process and we start with the petition, did you then work with the assemblyman to pen the law?
As far as the law was good. It was written good. You know, it was just a common sense law.
I clearly.
And they didn't have to. They looked at it. You know.
Was it your idea?
What?
Was it like your idea? Like how the idea?
Yeah, it was my idea. Yeah, because that's what we had to do.
When you run,
If the thinking was if this law had been there, you know, the idea was there was like an outrage at the time that a child killer could ever have the possibility for getting out of prison. So my mother, it hadn't been changed in all these years, and my mother was thinking if someone had done this earlier, then when our family wouldn't have to go through this, even though the law does not affect us.
And what I want to tell you is, this law was not going to help me, it was not going to help my family, but it was time for change. And that's why I really believe that to have change in society, you need to think of society first. That's the only way we're going to get change.
So when you began the process, you started the petitions, you went to the politicians. Was there a local politician, one politician that kind of picked this up and ran with it and became the point person on the legislation, or did you feel legislatively, from the legislative part, I know that from the grassroots movement there were thousands of people. From the legislative standpoint, did you feel that there was one politician that was...
Well, we have one senator for our district, and at that time it was Costco, and we have 2 assembly people, and that was Heck and Roman. So those were the people that took it, because that was in their district. Right now, with the law we're going through for now, for the 5th one, we have Assemblyman Orr and Shapizi, and then we have Cardinal as our senator. So they're the ones that will go off with this one, you know, once we get through. And I forgot to tell you, the 5th one, I mean, the seed started 7 years ago. So you just have to keep on persevering. When you believe in something, I believe in it and I'll persevere. And then all of us together, that's what I'm saying, it's very important that we unite.
Now, as we were reading the backstory on the organization, one of the things that was mentioned was that Joan's killer tried to, if I interpret it correctly, tried to hide the fact that he had received some money from his family through an inheritance,
Right.
and as a means to provide for his defense. And did you go after that legally to try to?
It was all spent on appeals. So, but that's what gave me the idea to do the Justice Victims Law to eliminate the statute of limitation.
So again, we look at it and we say, you've identified a societal problem, which is this man that murdered my daughter is using money for an appeal. There's a statute of limitations on how long a victim has to seek reparations. So you tried to put into place a law that would eliminate the statute of limitations and give the victims more of an opportunity to go after their killer's estate.
You know, I forgot to tell you when I was telling you that he's a teacher. See, Joan was trained not to go into people's houses. We just were that way. And he told the people that, you know, the people interrogating him, and after he said, I knew how to lure children because I was a teacher. So many details, you know, like parts.
So,
Sorry for that interruption, but I
no,
wanted them
it's,
to know
please,
that
no
you
interruption.
have to, you know, you got to be, you know, not go paranoid, but you have to be very aware of things, okay?
Yes. And I think really what Rosemarie is trying to impart to you, and we're trying to get you to understand, is that obviously this is a very tragic situation, but your ability to impact your society doesn't have to be born out of tragedy. It can be born out of a desire to make your community better. Whatever you see as a problem, get involved. Seek to create law. Rosemarie is from Hillsdale, New Jersey, a stone's throw away. Through her perseverance, and I think she mentioned perseverance, you're going to have to persevere. Through her perseverance, she created a law that became New Jersey state law and eventually a federal law, which everyone is now going to have to adhere, all from Hillsdale, New Jersey. Why? Because she had the desire to make her community better, and in her particular case, make her community safer. And I can't tell you how grateful I am that you came to share your story with us today. I can't tell you how thankful I am that you've shown the students that it is possible for any citizen to make their community better through public policy. That's what we've been talking about.
And you know, I just want to tell you that all of you, excuse me, John, what?
You did talk about the foundation
Oh,
of the
yeah,
garden.
yeah, you have two other areas. Like, all of you, you know, if you have any questions, at the end, you know, you have a card, you have my number on it, an email, and, you know, I mean, don't feel that you're bothering me, okay? Because, I mean, I want to be, you know, I want to be there for you if you need me, okay? Because I try to picture myself at your age, and, you know, it was a pretty good time too, and it was a pretty good time. You know, and just like think of like, you know, wouldn't it be nice, you know, if you knew there was an adult that you could just go to, okay? So, you know, just know that I'm here.
In conjunction with Joan's Law and the tragedy, Rosemarie and her family have created Joan's Foundation. So John's just going to speak briefly about the foundation and its purpose.
We have 20 minutes.
Yeah, we have time.
So the other way, besides the laws, the way you can change, my mother looked into changing society, was with the creation of the Joan Foundation. And so what we have done, what she has focused on, is helping inner city children
sit over there, right? Go sit over there.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do.
So what she did is she created, in 1998, as part of the no parole effort, yeah, she created a foundation in Joan's memory with 3 goals. One was child safety awareness, the other was victims' rights. Spread child safety awareness, help and encourage disadvantaged and at-risk children, and give them positive experiences. And then she also supports victims' rights with advice and help to other victims. So to do this, we've had over 20 fundraisers, large garage sales, sporting events. Many of them, the kids who we help are from usually Hackensack, and they also take part in the events. We've had galas and dinner parties. I believe it was 5 seasons, and we've connected with our base. We've had a lot of, you could go on. We've also connected with the Girl Scouts. This is like a flyer we will use for our dinner party. And these are the kids we help. This is YCS. YCS in Hackensack. There's a youth shelter there for at-risk children, and we provide for their recreation trips, because a lot of it is my mother wants them to feel cared for and to give them some kind of encouragement. They could go to Great Adventure, they've gone to the shore. So we've been providing vacations really since 1998. And these are just more pictures from the fundraisers. And through the fundraisers, we also do some of our other goals. We'll have information about child safety. We'll have information about the bills. This is a lot how we gather the supporters together at these events. And this is a new charity we're helping, Hearts and Crafts, that's in Hillsdale, in fact, down the street. And they deal with grief counseling for children who've gone through tragedies or are dealing with some type of loss. And so we're going to start supporting them now, and because it goes with our mission of helping children and helping the victims. Okay. So as part of our, it's sort of a culmination of my mother's child safety message, was the creation of the Joan D'Alessandro White Butterfly Sculpture and Garden. And that was just created in Hillsdale, finished last year. And this is what we wanted to do to make sure that child safety was never forgotten in our communities, and Joan's legacy of law changes and how the community came together and supported the no parole effort and supported the legislation. And this is right at the Hillsdale train station. And that's also what we've, last year we raised money for that. And you could go there.
Can I just add something to that?
I just want to tell you, the main point for getting the sculpture and garden was really, it represents child safety and protection. And then also that I want, if people go there and they know if someone in their family or a friend is being sexually assaulted or there are bad things going on, that they go and stand up. That's about standing up. Standing up, and don't be a bystander. You know, you have to, that's the way we're going to really make a better world. Okay? That means that you see something, as hard as it is, the other person might be angry with you, they might not want to talk to you, they might have revenge toward you, you still go and protect the person that needs to be protected. You know, and still protect yourself too with it, okay? If it's in that kind of situation, all right? So that's what that's there for, really. And the white butterflies is Joan. Could you explain that, Joan?
My brother, The next slide. We have the green ribbon in Joan's favorite color, stands for Remember Joan today, so tomorrow's children will be safe, and my brother will be handing and the white butterfly's meaning is written on the back of the sculpture. When my mother went up to the site where Joan was found for the first time in a long time, this was when the killer tried to hide her body. He went up to Harriman State Park, and this was though in the paper when they discovered her, and then we were invited back by the policeman, Rockland County Police, that showed us where it was in 1998, and then she hadn't been able to go. She got there, a little white butterfly had come up near the boulder, and since then that's become a symbol of Joan's spirit and giving people hope. And it's also the white butterfly, we sure share that with people, and it's sort of a symbolic way to support.
I didn't even know we had white butterflies, okay? I thought it was a moth, but I hadn't gone there in 8 years because of my myasthenia. But even during that time, I'd be working from bed on the lawn, okay?
Not with the phone.
And on the phone, and if I was up, because I was pretty sick at that time. So, and then I have to tell you, it's good to have with the grassroots movement, there was purpose, meaning, and that's good to have in life, purpose and meaning. I mean, I'm sick in bed, I'm still working on a law, because remember, I had a purpose and a meaning, right? So it's positive. That was positive in that time, I was really sick, right? So the white butterfly, I saw it, I'm coming up the hill, I had just gone to the area, where Joan was put, and I'm coming up and I'm by myself and I see this white thing flying. And remember, I hadn't been there in 8 years, so I really, really took that as a sign that she was saying, oh, I'm so glad you're better. Now you can do my work. You can be my voice. And of course, I'm like, glad you're better. But the thing was, that's what happened. That's how it became a white butterfly. So the garden that we had there, the sculpture and garden, I referred to it as the white butterfly. And you might want to go see it. It's pretty, and there's a bench there with a white butterfly.
And that white butterfly we saw on Holy Thursday last year. That was in the garden, that butterfly.
These were some Girl Scouts who were working on the garden, doing some gardening there the other day. Let's just review some things here. So I just put together some themes from my mother's talk today. There could be a positive in anything, no matter how bad, you have to see it that way. Stand up, don't be a bystander. The only way you change society is by thinking of society first. Perseverance, don't give up on your goal. You have to take a risk and go for it. I mean, when my mom would work on these bills or work with the legislature, she didn't hesitate to call again or to make an extra call. She didn't worry about annoying the people, and she didn't worry about, going to the boss or going to the, if it wasn't working with one person, she'd go to somebody else, ask for somebody, and then everyone can make a difference in the issue that is important to them. So, like we said, this is our story, but hopefully you can see that you can, if you really believe in making a change, you could go for it if you're working with other people and you are willing to put in the time.
So I had that.
And these are some ideas how you can help.
Oh yeah, you want to say that? Well, they could read it.
This is so. If you want to get involved in our effort, we have, we're supporting the bill. We're having an event in September, which would be like a community child safety event. If you want to contact us, stay in touch with us on Facebook. Help maintain, if you are interested in gardening, we always have some gardening work down at the Hillsdale Garden. And again, we said you could do a petition gathering or even sell wristbands to help. That sometimes as part of the petition drive to that money would help with our other foundation goals with the children. And I think Mom wanted to say something.
That was great, John. He took care of all, the technical part and writing all that up. You know what? Just don't let anyone make you feel that you can't make a difference. Okay? Just remember, and then also, just like you give compliments to other people, right? And you feel like you're not getting like acknowledgement or something, give yourself the acknowledgement, okay? You have to, and then when you do that, what it does, you feel like better about yourself, you feel stronger, and that's the way you can make a difference even more, okay? And help people. Because there's this one lady, and she's really older, and I just spoke to her during the week, and she's the person that she called me when I got that very, very terrible phone call. And then, of course, it was in the paper. And she started End Violence Now, and she had this group. So I went to this group, and I learned, that's where I learned, like, where you're going to speak, to deal with the group and everything. And the other day she said to me, she said, you know what, there's nothing as rewarding as helping people. So I told her I will tell you, because she has been like a role model for me. So I leave you all, with my positive feelings towards you, and just care for you all.
Okay, in the packet that I gave you in class, you have the information to write a letter to the Assemblyman. I have this information upstairs in class that I will also distribute to you. I think we should all, once again, give Rosemarie and John and Michael a nice round of applause. We're so thankful that you can come in and share with us, because much of what, not much, all of what we've done has been in theory, in a classroom. We've discussed it. And to see how it works in action and how individuals can make such a difference in society is truly inspiring, and we thank you very much. So thank you all very much. Okay, for those of you, we're going to...
We send the handout.
John, Michael, are you going to do that?
We're going to
Very
pass it
nice.
around. Well, they can pass it
They're
around.
going to pass around. Please take a green ribbon.
There's a ribbon, there's a butterfly, and a flower.
Once you get your ribbon, you may orderly and quietly move to your fourth period class.
When's the fourth period start?
Thank you very much.
You got better as you went along, I thought.
There's no like getting around it. He's gonna get it. We'll also see how
What piece of bread? It's babysitting. It's babysitting. The finals like a Sunday night.
Thank you.
They came down.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, this terrible person that was put into jail, when he first came up for parole, did you know he was going to come up for parole after 14 years? Like, you did not know that?
That one was the first time.
Oh, the first time, you knew that.
The second time. I thought it was 17 for 6 months.
What, how did that make you feel, that the fact that it was even a thought after 14 years that this man might have an opportunity?
It just made me feel it.
And well, it should have. It should have. And you certainly...
It made me angry. Now I was not
No, I think he realized he got into it.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he does now. he does now.
Tell
Mr.
the
Gallagher?
kids that.
Rosemarie, this is Pat Gallagher from Syracuse University,
We are the supporters of their program.
and our course is in conjunction with Syracuse.
So all the students here are Syracuse students indirectly.
Yes, they can earn credit. They can earn credits from Syracuse by completing the course.
We only transfer them to the schools together.
It's very,
No, I don't.
yes,
And there was a lady in the audience that was writing an article.
yes.
She's gonna, I guess, I don't know if I'm
I think she's from the Community Life.
So she's gonna write an article about your whole story. And we got a plug for Syracuse.
Oh, outstanding.
And then when we have class now?
We do, yes. Just let me say goodbye, John.
I didn't
All right,
know.
thanks.
Thank you.
Right,
Thank you. You know, if possible, we'll see how things go in the future, but maybe we could do this again next year.
We'll just take one thing at a time.
Yeah.
But next year there'll be the book probably.
Yeah, book out.
Oh, is that right? There's going to be
You
a
could tell them
book.
the book, John Douglas and Mark Olshaker, 11 chapters of different story.
Oh, wow, okay,
That,
great.
Oh, you're gonna get a lot of
Very nice to
details
meet you.
there.
Thank you for coming
A
too.
lot of
Well,
details.
nice meeting you guys. Good luck. Bye-bye now. Take care.
Rosemarie, I have to get to class now, but I can't thank you enough. And I'm going to be in contact with you.
Sure,
And,
sure.
and
Yeah, you know, questions, whatever.
absolutely, absolutely.
Education, sure.
Yes, thank you. Do you guys need help with anything?
No, I was just gonna
No, I
pack
got
this stuff
something.
up.
You got